Okay, it's recording. So what I'll do is I'll just start explaining the category and what you're seeing here. Please do stop me if you have any questions or tell me to slow down, ask for any follow-ups. Um, yeah, I guess maybe the first thing to ask is, have you seen review apps for your applications and how the basic workflow works?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so these are created on demand during the development process. Typically for a merge request, they'll be set up so that when a merge request is made and people are considering and discussing the content, that they can go to a review app and see the content that's in question. So it's a really, really nice feature that's really, really unique to GitLab as well. I think it came from, Heroku has something similar to this, but we're the only CI system that I think can automatically make these for you. Just like all of our other categories, there's an issue. There's an issue list, there's an overall vision, and then there's a UX research issue as well. So the issue list, you can come in here and filter your issues that make up the review apps category in a number of different ways. Right now it's showing how these are all scheduled out over the milestones. So with the nearest milestone first, and then in the backlog, and then eventually items with no milestone if there are any. You can also filter this by not priority, but popularity, which is an interesting way to slice it. People upvote the issues. So you can see truly dynamic environment URLs for the review apps is something that people are really, really excited about. We've got 67 upvotes on that. It was open 2 years ago. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of math. Like if something was open 4 years ago and got 20 upvotes versus something that was open 2 months ago that got 20 upvotes, the one with 20 upvotes in 2 months is potentially more interesting, but you sort of have to be aware of that. Cleaning up stale environments, I think we talked about that on a different call. So this is interesting ones as well. And really what you want to look for on the popularity one is maybe something that's popular, although this only has 4. If it had a few more upvotes, then maybe it would be strange that this is in the backlog. The fact that it's got 4 is still interesting. It is still a signal that people are interested in this one, but maybe it's not a huge priority, especially compared to something like this. I think that for release in general, the category label hygiene is actually pretty good, so you can be pretty confident that this is the full list of review app items.
Is there a different score for the amount of thumbs up it got as opposed to the amount of chat or conversations there was about it?
Yeah, so this is just the number of comments. I'm trying to use to improve the Dutch translation, so I have some things. Opmerkingen is how you say comments in Dutch. But I don't think that you can filter by number of comments. No, you can't. But it is a signal as well. If there's been a lot of discussion, then it may be an interesting one. And so you can look for outliers in that way as well. But with only 33 issues in the entire category, what would be a really nice use of your time, I think, is opening up every single one of these when you're thinking about this category and just familiarizing yourself with it a bit, understanding why the issue was created, looking for duplicates as well. There probably aren't any, but duplicates may have been created. And I think any backlog or any category that has a backlog of under 200 issues, it's a really good candidate for just knowing the entire backlog as a product manager. You'll be in such a nice place if you know your entire backlog and are that familiar with the contents of it. You'll always sort of know what your options are, and I would highly recommend doing that. Yeah, the second link here, which was to the overall vision, just links out to the release stage category vision, or sorry, stage vision, which has everything across all of the different categories for release. And then there's a UX research issue here. We haven't kicked off much UX research, but if you did want to, for something related to feature flags, you could comment in here and work with the UX researcher to kick off some research project.
Okay. Is there anything in the direction tag or OKRs that are related to review apps?
Is there anything where?
In the direction label or in the OKRs that we want to work on review apps?
I don't believe so. We haven't set our OKRs for Q3 yet. Feature flags is linked very much to the OKRs, but review apps, I don't think so. One interesting thing about review apps as it relates to progressive delivery, which is one of the ideas that we're pushing, is that review apps can be a way to implement progressive delivery, because in a sense, you've rolled out a change to a subset of users. And for the most use cases of a review app, it's the users of the merge request. So you're kind of incrementally rolling out. So review apps do support progressive delivery and play a role in it, but I don't think at the moment that we have any OKRs set for review apps. And you'll be involved with Q3 OKR planning. Actually, let me find. Yeah, this one. We have this issue here. Yeah, I haven't pinged you in it yet because we opened this before before you joined. But we're having a discussion here about what should the OKRs be for the next quarter. So check this out. Again, I don't think there's anything in here for review apps. There could be. So if you think of something that could potentially tie into an OKR. But we'll leave that discussion sort of separate. But otherwise, at the moment, to answer your specific question, I don't think there's anything in here that's tied to an OKR. Shall we dive into the content of the strategy now?
Sure.
All right. So all of our category pages are made up of the similar sections. There's what's next, a maturity plan, competitive landscape, which is about what other products on the market are doing, issues that we're hearing from our customer success and sales organization as being important, top customer issues, top internal customer issues, and top vision items. And we maintain this every month. So typically around now, we will do an update pass of the strategy for all the categories that you own. You don't have to do this for this one because you're brand new. I think Karina is working on it. You could work with her to see how you could help. Yeah, so there's a little bit of description of what they are here. There actually is also this public epic, which is the discussion page for this page, essentially, because since this is a web page, there's no way to comment on it or ask questions. But I've actually never seen anybody comment on one of these before. I don't know if it's just the release ones that's the case, or I guess all the CI/CD ones, but it is good to be aware that there is this issue and someone may ask you questions in there. But anyway, so next up for review apps is this issue, which I think makes things a little bit easier to get started, makes them more obvious, yeah. So one of the challenges that we have in the product in general about different features is making people aware of them. Not everybody follows the blog post, not everybody is just super engaged in tracking what new features are coming out with GitLab. This has come out, review apps came out quite a long time ago. But we can do more in the product to make it easier to understand that this is easier to set up, because it really is a game-changing feature. This is a good one to think about as you're starting to look into 12.4 and what your vision is for the future. Thinking about how you can make it more obvious to teams that review apps are important, they're easy to set up, and you should do it because it's awesome.
So besides actually like putting some kind of banner on GitLab itself, is there some other kind of activity that we do in order to do that, like meetups or conferences or blog posts or something like that?
Blog posts are a good one, though not everybody reads them. This issue is more about in product somehow making it more visible. Part of that can be writing a blog post for sure, but I think what the best thing to do here is maybe partially in the documentation and partially in the product, finding the place where we could provide a clue that review apps exist and you may be interested. They may help you with the problem that you're working on in GitLab at the moment. And just, this may end up being mostly documentation, but it's hard to say. It just needs some thought, I think. And there are some comments in there I saw. So there's different people with ideas that we can review. And then also cleaning up stale environments is another one that's fairly frequently asked for. I can show you the problem here.
That there's like things from over a year, environments from over a year that are not deleted. Exactly. And we want to add some kind of button that lets you like select all, right? Or multiple.
Some way to clean them up. So we have these 3,271 review apps open right now. In this case, it's a web project. So all of these are just kind of files on like in a directory structure somewhere that's being managed. So it's taking up disk space, but not as bad. Imagine if this was, actually deployed environments that were using up like 4 gigs of RAM and CPUs and things like that. It would be a real nightmare to maintain these. So there's actually a couple of different ideas in here. And there's a couple of linked issues as well that you would look at in order to kind of figure out what the right approach is. But we could add a select all delete button.
Yeah.
We could add a expiration time to environments so that they are automatically deleted after some period of time. Although that wouldn't help people clean up existing problems, it would help prevent them from being created in the future.
Prevention is also good.
What's that?
Prevention is also good.
Prevention is also important, but then I think we would also still need a way for them to clean things up. Maybe that could be a one-time script or something. I'm not sure, but something like that. And then, so managing all of those environments. There's a few different options here, but it's a popular issue. You can see with 27 upvotes. People want a way to.
And this we need to have, like, for example, if I would want to solve this on an API level, but not through the website, like break it into different stories, that would be okay?
Yeah, you can potentially have an MVC to do it via API first. That's something that we do sometimes, although discoverability of that can be kind of poor. So it's a trade-off. And it will depend on the users who are going to be doing this. If it's mostly the system administrators who are worried about cleaning this up, then probably an API call is actually what they would prefer. If it's users who are wanting to manage their environments in a way who aren't administrators, then a script or an API call is going to be burdensome. So it's going to come down to understanding who the user is. I suspect that it's more administrators, but it needs to be discussed. And then every category also has a maturity plan where the category is currently at the complete maturity level, which is just sort of, oh, wow, this is cool. This is new. So this looks like a graph of what percentage of our categories are at different maturity levels. But every category has, viable, or available, or planned, available, viable, and complete. And loved, actually, is the other one. I think, or maybe complete is the final one now. This has been worked on a lot lately, which is why I'm excited to see some of this new interesting stuff here. But we try to manage our categories through the maturity levels. Actually, there is a lovable level. I think it has a heart icon is why. Since this is currently at the complete level, the next goal would be to bring it to lovable. And these are the 4 issues that I identified as being important to bring the category up to the lovable level from where it is today. And these are up for discussion, of course, but being able to clean up those stale environments is important. The combination of these together, this is sort of the prevention and this is the maintenance cleanup side of things. Supporting environment URLs in a dynamic way, in a more dynamic way. And then
that had a bunch of thumbs up.
Yeah, this was our most upvoted one. And then first class review apps, not remembering exactly what this is. Oh yeah, this is actually related to the one here. So making it more obvious and easy to get started is a good step. But actually making them a first class feature in the product is a step beyond that. And this is just making it really, really easy to set them up in the first place. Right now, it's not incredibly hard to set it up, but it's not obvious, it's not intuitive, and we can make it a lot easier. So by achieving that, by managing the maintenance better, and then giving people this popular option, then maybe at that point we can say this category is at lovable. And so that's what this plan represents.
Okay.
Competitive landscape. So here we talk about Heroku review apps a bit. and how we can improve our product to compete with the other solutions on the market. And in this case, I think we have linked to the, yeah. So this is another related issue. One button to enable them, auto edit the GitLab CI YAML, and auto configure GKE. So this would be like a one button enable review apps for a project, which is also.
If I wanted to take a look at the competitors,
Yep.
is there, do we have access to different kinds of competitors? Who do you reach out to for that?
Yeah, I think Heroku you can go get for free or cheap. I think you can do a small instance for free.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of our competitors they have like a free tier. So you can just go play with them. If it requires payment, then I think we can do that as well. It just, we should just check in to make sure it's not too expensive or anything like that. But in most cases, it will be no problem.
Okay.
Then we also track customer success and sales issues. And what they're hearing is, again, those two issues that are about preventing too many environments from being accumulated and then cleaning up the too many that you already have. Dynamic URLs is our top upvoted customer issue. Review apps for GitLab Pages is something that's being requested internally. And then more efficient allocation of VMs for review apps. These are really interesting ones as well that we could consider prioritizing. And then review apps for mobile workflows is something that's really interesting for the vision of review apps in general. There's different ways that you can do this, but like there's test flight if you're trying to provision onto the device. But one really interesting thing here would be just like a web-based version of the mobile app. I don't know if you can do that with iOS. You probably can, but for sure you can do it with Android in the simulator.
Test flight with iOS is, it works.
Does it? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
that's one of my previous companies that what we did.
What's that?
In one of my previous companies, we deployed to test flight the iOS app. It's just a workaround for not being in the actual market. So it allows you to.
But I'm talking about like for a review app, like if you could put it on the web, and you could just like click on buttons on like a visual device in a web browser.
Well, there's also an option of emulators. I don't know if that's something that would currently deploy.
And that's what I'm talking about. I know that exists for Android. I don't know if it exists for iOS, but it would be interesting if you were building an iOS project and automatically you got a review app for a merge request where you could go like click on the device. That would be pretty awesome.
So that's interesting because I know that there are different solutions in the market, but they're pretty expensive. So I don't know if that's like some kind of partnership that GitLab wants to do or something like that. Now, Android is easy. Find an iOS.
Android is easy, yeah. iOS is harder because Apple locks it down. But we can start with Android and serve people.
It's more than like 80% distribution all over the world.
Yeah, and a lot of times an application will have an Android and iOS version built. You can at least play with the Android version in the web. It's still a win.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe someday we'll get it working with iOS. There's really interesting things going on with doing builds on Linux for iOS. People are working on emulators because the Apple system is so locked down that it's really difficult to actually do a lot of CI and best practices around testing for iOS. So this is the vision as it is today. It would be well served for you to go read through all those issues and think about all of this stuff. I haven't had the time to give this the amount of thought that it should really get. And now that you're here, you can. Some of this could probably change. There may be issues in this issue list that should be part of this strategy. There may be something in the strategy that is less important now and could move out. But yeah, that's that.
Okay, so for example, the first issue here that's the most important, which I think was
in the issue list or in the strategy?
It doesn't matter, either or. So for example, we have here at the top, let's just choose stale environments just for the sake of conversation. It is currently not targeted. Oh, it's targeted for 12.4, right?
Yeah.
So I assume that's close enough to be okay. But if we have an important issue here that's not targeted for anything, so what's the process to do that?
Then you would move it. It's your responsibility to maintain the schedule of what we're working on. I would say you have less a problem with things not being scheduled that are important, and more a problem with too many things being scheduled that the team has capacity to work on. So this 12.7 milestone, for example.
Well, that's just like a backlog, right?
Sort of. It's the backlog for everything that will be done in 5, 6, and 7, 12.5, 12.6, and 12.7. But I think in total, like if we go out to production release, and we look at 12.7, well, maybe it's not too bad actually. But this is, I think, a little bit more than 3 releases worth of stuff. It's actually somewhat close. Like if you look at 12.2, 12.3, 12.4, it looks like there's about 6 items that are being fit in for a release on average. So maybe you're mostly getting there. But what you and Karina will need to work on is soon putting these things out into 12.5, 12.6, and 12.7, and making sure that it's not too much. And some things may need to be done in order, or removed in order to fix that. I can show you the problem here. 12.7 in Verify. This is a real problem. And I was worried that you were in a bit of the same state, but this is like a year's worth of stuff that has been.
We made these. We're changing the staffing a bit, so.
Yeah, well, and we're hiring, we're growing, but still, I think this is going to be tough. And so I have a problem where I need to go potentially move out things, which is not really a problem. It's normal. We do it all the time, but it's just something you have to be aware of. And as we're getting closer to the milestones, they need to be more accurate. So I wouldn't say that you need to start worrying about 12.5, 6, and 7 yet. But once 12.3 is in development, start making sure that this plan is good to go. And if you do manage to get ahead and schedule 12.2, 12.3, 12.4, by all means, start looking at 12.5, 12.6, 12.7.
Okay.
It should be more doable now. I was never able to get that far ahead because I had all of the categories for 2 stages. But you have 4 categories for a single stage. So you can get a little bit further ahead than I was able to. You can go deeper than I was able to, which is good. You'll be able to have thought about all these things at a deeper level. And, yeah.
Yes. Great.
No other questions?
No, this was very helpful.
Cool. And we'll do this for your other 3 as well. We can even do, if you want, schedule these for tomorrow, the next day. It starts to get into when the baby's going to be born at that point. But as many of these as you want to get done that you feel you can take in and absorb prior to me going, the better, I think. Maybe we could do feature flags tomorrow as a good goal.
Okay, great. I'll look at your schedule.
Okay, great. I'm going to stop this recording.